Nitrile actually breathe a lot better than latex. Also, nitrile is more resistant to, all gloves, they have a finite lifetime because what happens is they start to soak up whatever chemicals you're working with. And pretty soon, once it's bled through the material, then it can easily diffuse through it. And so they have ratings, like you can work 5 minutes with this stuff. Like for example, latex, you probably can only work 10 seconds with acetone because it just goes right through, But nitrile is fairly resistant to chemical attack. It's
That's good.
yeah.
I thought concentrated sulfuric acid would just like eat it all the way through, you know?
Concentrated sulfuric acid will. Concentrated sulfuric acid. I'll tell you, I had in Chem 4, I think it was. One student got a third-degree burn from a splash of concentrated sulfuric acid that went onto her arm, and turned it into a little.
A third degree burn?
Well, it was very small, so that was the fortunate thing. But it ended up turning her skin into a little charcoal bit there. It was pretty nasty. So concentrated sulfuric acid, you have to watch out for. We're likely to use some concentrated sulfuric acid this semester. And you guys know what you do with acids. You know what double A stands for, right? What does double A stand for? Or do you add acid to water or do you add water to acid? This is a rule every chemist should know. Add acid to water or add water to acid?
The water. Water to acid.
Water to acid is what she did. And water to acid, it caused splattering, and the tiny drop of concentrated sulfuric acid splattered out onto her arm. You don't want to add water to acid. Why? Because it. I'm sorry? No, because sulfuric acid is like maple syrup. Concentrated sulfuric acid is thick and viscous. It's very strong, good call. Or, fairly strong intermolecular forces, hydrogen bonding interactions. Pretty strong. And so it pours, and when you pour it, it's like syrup, pouring syrup. You don't add water to acid because it's a highly exothermic reaction. And what happens is there's not much water, so that water superheats. When it superheats, it turns into steam and causes little steam explosions. That's because, all that heat that's generated has to go somewhere. And where does it go? It's going to go into that little droplet of water. Also the sulfuric acid, but the heat transfer in the sulfuric acid isn't as rapid as it is in water. But if you add the acid to the water, the water acts as a heat reservoir, right? A heat sink. What is water? Why is water a good heat sink? Yeah, it dissipates the heat because it has a very high specific heat. 4.18 joules per gram degree C is pretty high, right? Okay, let's move on here. We'll be looking at safety issues as we go along. But if you flip the page over, we're at required assignments. You're required to attend both lecture and lab, but especially lab. If you have a problem with missing labs, then you may be dropped from the course or you just won't pass the class. Even though the lab grade percentage isn't very large. I mean, if you look at the points percentage, lab constitutes about 20% of the grade. But if you fail lab, you'll fail the course. So lab attendance is required. If you do end up missing a lab for some reason or other, you can try to make up the labs. Okay. The point breakdown is exams and quizzes will be 500 points, roughly. These are tentative here. Homework. Oh, if you do miss an exam, And there's a penalty associated with the extra time that you have. Usually it's a 10% penalty. It depends on the circumstances, so I look at those case by case, but try not to miss any exams. The quizzes, some quizzes you'll be able to make up, others not. It depends. Those quizzes are sometimes announced, sometimes not. Those are going to be mainly in lab. Paper homework. Paper homework, you're going to turn in homework assignments. And those will add up to 100 points. But the homework assignments, the due dates are going to be with the exam days. And so if we have an exam on Chapter 15, then the homework for Chapter 15 will be due on the day of the exam, at the beginning. Okay? If you don't complete it, make sure you turn it in. Even if you only completed one problem, at least you're going to get full credit on one problem versus saying, oh, I didn't finish much. We'll just turn it in later. But if you turn it in later, you're going to get 50% penalty on late homework. Okay. Uh-huh.
Do you have your names for your places in your tech courses?
No.
So you just say it before?
Yeah.
Wait, so you're gonna announce it a week before?
Yeah. Actually, you can kind of figure out when the tests are going to be. I'll tell you how. Just a minute. The labs, those are going to constitute about 200 points. This semester, I'm not going to take any late labs. No. Just whatever you have done for the report, just turn it in. If you didn't complete it, fine. Just turn it in for partial credit. I give partial credit. Okay. But I don't want to take any late labs this semester. The labs are also going to include technique and notebook points in there as well. Technique means, you clean up after yourself. You clean up spills at the balances, that kind of stuff. The final exam is going to be comprehensive, worth 20% of your grade. And so the percentage breakdowns, 88% cut off for A, 78 for B, 65 for C. If you have any special needs, come and talk to me. I'll try to accommodate whatever requirements you have. Also, a note on cheating here. Academic honesty is mandatory, of course.